Next up, at UFC Vegas 80, we have the co-main event of the evening. We have Joe Pyfer taking on Abdul Razak Alhassan. Joe Pyfer, 11-2 overall, 4-1 in his last 5. He is riding a 4-fight knockout streak. He's taking on Abdul Razak Alhassan. This guy's 12-5 overall, 2-3 in his last 5. He's coming off the second-round knockout over Claudio Rebello. Joe Pyfer is an incredibly powerful striker. He has put together 4 wins, and that is after the dude broke his arm on the Contender Series. He hits like an absolute truck. He uses pressure to break people. You don't see a lot of it, but he does have some nice, clean takedowns and some solid BJJ as well. He's coming off that knockout win over Gerald Mearshart. He's taking on Abdul Razak Alhassan. This guy's a powerful striker. He does tend to headhunt. We just spent all that time talking about how Buckley isn't headhunting anymore. Abdul Razak Alhassan, does tend to headhunt, but he is a high-level judo practitioner that fell in love with his striking. People in the
I actually saw you argue with people, and you are 100% right.
Yeah, people are like, he's not a judo guy. He's a high-level judo practitioner who just doesn't use his judo in fights. And the point that I made in the video that get all these weird nerds upset is I said, if Abdul Razak Alhassan came into this fight, forward pressure using judo was his game plan, he could win this fight. Absolutely can win this fight because he's got power in his hands. We know that. He has high-level judo. We know that. At least I know that. Some of you don't know that. But he has high-level judo. And if he puts it all together and uses all of those tools, this guy is incredible. The problem is, like we've seen with so many other wrestlers and stuff in the past, he found some power, fell in love with the power, and just abandoned the other tools. So he doesn't really use his judo. So I can't count on him to use his judo. So then we have striker versus striker. Abdul's going to be very, very dangerous, but so is Joe. And I'm going to go with Joe. I think Joe's going to win this fight. I'm very confident in him to win this fight. I think he's going to get it done. But my concern for Joe is not that Abdul's going to use his judo, because he hasn't used it before. I don't know why all of a sudden he's going to use it now. My concern for Joe is we haven't really seen him in a long, drawn-out fight. And Abdul Razak Alhassan is not a pussy. He's not just going to get put out quick and be done or quit.
Oh, way to go. You just jinxed the shit out of him.
It could be a longer type fight. So that's my only concern for Joe is what's his cardio going to look like? What's he going to look like? But I think Joe gets it done. I think he's going to be a little sharper, a little more powerful, a little cleaner, and potentially even work in some takedowns, which we've seen him do in the past. So Joe Pyfer is my pick. No surprise there. Dude's a minus 450 favorite. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Joe's the pick. But the minus 400 stuff, this ballooned up to fucking minus 575 at one point yesterday is a little bit crazy to me because, as you mentioned, we really don't know how good this guy is. Knocking out the last 2 guys that he knocked out are people that are absolute nobodies. Was that Armin guy or whatever that came off the big layoff and got knocked out twice? Knocking out Gerald Mearshart. Gerald Mearshart, that was the easiest knockout you could have ever seen coming with the way that these guys are stylistically matched up. And now he is against a guy that, as Angelo mentioned, has real power. And if you watch Joe Pyfer fight, the thing that makes me feel Pyfer. Are you making fun of me because I said Pyfer?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the one to talk, aren't you?
I didn't make fun of you. I just laughed to myself quietly like a gentleman.
The thing that I do like about Joe Pyfer is he isn't like he's not going to just blitz forward and think, oh, I'm a knockout artist. I'm going to come forward like Derek Lewis and just try to knock somebody out. He will take his time, which is good. But when he gets somebody against the fence, what I worry about here, and almost what I think that Abdul should kind of do, is what you saw with Alex Pereira and Izzy in that second fight. And Izzy's going to say, oh, I was playing possum. He was getting fucked up. He was against the fence. But he found the shot because Alex left himself open against the fence trying to chase a finish against Izzy. And I've seen Joe Pyfer do that in the fight. And I got pictures here. Here's a picture. He's got the guy against the fence. Here's a little screenshot. Boom. There's the next one. I mean, look how just wide open. And here comes that big left hand coming over the top. If Abdul lands a shot like this was a clean left hand against the fence, he is going to get put the fuck out. I mean, you can see, just absolutely just levels him like that. If I'm Abdul, and I'm not going to be the Anzo game plan, which that's a good game plan. I mean, come through, get your hands on him, get him to the ground. Let's wrestle this guy. Let's elongate this fight and see what happens. But if I'm not doing that game plan and I want to kind of pull Joe in, I kind of do that possum type style fight. I'm pulling him into the fence. I know that this guy leaves himself open, leaves himself exposed when he gets people back against the fence. So, okay, I'm Abdul. I know I can take a couple shots. Let me put my back against the fence. Let me get ready with this right or left hand. Let me wait for him to overextend and be there with the counter shot. And if he does that, there is an opportunity here for him to shock the world and knock out a guy like Joe Pyfer. So, for these people that are like, oh, Joe's going to come in and dominate, he might. Minus 450, I haven't seen enough to put him in parlays or anything to that effect. So, yeah, he's got the punching power. He looks the part, but the competition hasn't been there. This is a step up. If he passes this test, that's another test to pass. But he gets hit, man. If Abdul's hitting you, that's a bad situation. So, my pick is Joe. But there's going to be a moment in this fight where you're going to be like, oh, clutching your pearls, like, oh my God, he got hit. Is he going to be okay? And we're going to find out.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the UFC set this fight up on purpose, 27-38. Power. Like, you know, they set this up on purpose. I think Joe's, I'm going to say more well-rounded in the cage because he uses all the tools. Abdul Razak Alhassan is the more well-rounded fighter. High-level judo, great striking. Like, he's the more well-rounded fighter, but Joe uses the wrestling, uses.
Yeah, I was going to say I would not be surprised if Joe comes in with a wrestling game plan against this guy.
May.
Like, let's just nullify the power. I'm a better wrestler. I'm a better grappler. Let's shoot a takedown and show off that part. And I think that's a good game plan for him. But then you got Joe could come in and be like, I'm knocking everyone out. Let me knock out this guy. And yikes.
No, it should be a fun fight. I do believe in Joe. I think the odds are a little wide and they're kind of all over the place. You know, this card has been sitting there for 2 weeks. So the odds are starting to do some weird stuff. But 2 weeks ago when he was that minus 350, the minus 360, stuff like that, I thought that made sense, especially 38-year-old Abdul Razak Alhassan, who you can't always trust to do what he's supposed to do, even though he is such a talented guy. So $9,300 in DraftKings. It makes sense if you think Joe is going to come forward, get some takedowns and a knockout, or even come forward, pressure, good, nice knockout. All of a sudden, he is worth that money. But if this is somehow a long, drawn-out fight that's just on the feet, no knockout, no finish, he's not going to be worth that money. You think Joey's going to be worth the money if he wins?
Everyone says he should be.
There you go. If you want to unlock all the picks, all the bets, and everything else, WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It is only $10 a month.